Hey everyone, I'm Madonna. This is David, and today we're going to talk from the perspective about relationships and about how every relationship can improve.
Well, not every, but most can improve.
Well, most, yeah, that's true. Some people are assholes.
Well, some people are just, some people will get so involved in a fighting pattern over years that it just breaks so many things that. But even those can be improved
Yeah.
with both people working on it.
Some people don't want to work on a relationship. It's sort of a joke in the naturopathic industry that every condition can be improved, but not every human can be improved.
Right.
Because some people don't want to know.
Or they don't take their medicine.
Or they don't change their diet, or they don't want to, It's like I used to have a practitioner who'd tell me, and he'd muscle test me up and he'd say, Madonna, you need to do 3 hours of meditation a day. And I would go, I'm not going to do that.
And where are you going to get 3 hours?
So what else can I do? Okay, but this is what you need. And I go, yeah.
Busy people need efficient self-care.
Efficient self-care.
They need something that'll go for 10 minutes or they won't do it regularly.
Yeah.
Unless they're really, because it depends on their motivation. It's like healing. So if people come into counselling, you facilitate or use their motivation to change.
Yeah.
And it's sort of a bit dependent on their enthusiasm.
That's
their willingness to engage.
Yeah, it's why I love the scanner, so the bioresonance device, because the first report that they get is called an easy scan, but that's the one that gives them the frequencies that they can listen to every day that's based on their 7,000 frequency of their voice. So therefore that's a quick 3, 5, 10 minute self-care program. They can just sort of put on some speakers and wander around the house in the morning, organizing their coffee and their brekkie, and they've got their cells back into balance for the day, which is pretty amazing.
And save 2.5 hours.
Yeah, that's right. It's not 3 hours. Oh. And you can multitask. It's like at the moment I've bought myself another red light device because I've lost my last two. But it's sort of like a watch, so you can just put it on and then it runs for 40 minutes.
Right.
So you can, I like things where you can multitask, so then I can do lots of other things while I'm having my oxygen input for the day.
Yeah, I like
oxygenates the cells. Yeah. So relationships. A lot of people don't want to do self-care either.
Well, people don't want to love themselves. People haven't been programmed to care for themselves.
Why do you think that is?
I think life. Well, for a start, we kind of do things the way our family have done them mostly.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we do is generational. So, and I suppose people just have a lot of people with complex trauma, and complex trauma isn't there's big T, little t, but people who grow up in an environment where everything isn't perfect and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and so people can end up feeling instead of self-love, they'll feel a lot of shame, or they'll feel a lot of, and that's even really terrible things don't have to happen in your childhood. It's complex trauma means you have something happening over a long time, over many years, and that might be a little thing over many years, and that can have an effect. Whereas big T traumas are when something really big happens.
What are you saying, big T?
Big T traumas are like
right.
A really
trauma with the big T.
Yeah, like a big thing that happens, like somebody dies in a tragic circumstance around you, or you get really hurt, or they're big T. Whereas little T traumas are things that are, and this happens in family relationships, couple relationships, parent-child relationships, where even if most people have a pretty good life, but you might, as a kid, your parents might be really busy, say.
Yeah.
And so you're really well off, everything, but you kind of got neglected a little bit.
Yeah.
And so you might end up with some little thing where you mightn't love yourself because your parents mightn't have spent much time on you.
Yeah.
So therefore you don't spend time on yourself, because that's what.
Yeah. I think I've mentioned before, I had a treatment with this, one of my mates going back a few years ago, Rob, and we got back to when I was 4 years old, because he was trying to get underneath some of the shame that I'd been holding on to forever. And it was interesting because we went back to 4. It was the first day of school. It was sort of not wanting everyone in my class at 4 years old to know that my dad was an alcoholic.
Right.
So, and it was sort of like it had never occurred to me that it could be a childhood trauma if you have a parent who abuses drugs or alcohol or something like that.
So surprised a 4-year-old to be even aware of it.
Yeah. But it was like this, you know how sometimes when do you use visualization within counseling?
Oh, I can do, yes.
Yeah, so you know, so just say you've got someone imagining how big a problem is. You know, so you might get them to imagine, and it might be the size of a house, and then you get them to imagine what color it is. And it might be black or dark or viscous, and I just remember it weighed like an elephant,
Right.
and I couldn't move. And the
Mm.
session went for so long because I just couldn't get out of it. It
Right.
was really quite
You
phenomenal.
were treating the person with
No, no,
that
no.
issue?
He was treating me.
Oh, he was treating
He
you.
was treating me. And it was a pretty
That's
cool.
your memory
Yeah.
of being 4.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, that's how old I was when I went to grade 1.
Yeah.
I was like 4 and 9 months.
Oh, okay.
So I can remember my first day of school, and I can remember the fact that my best friend from grade 1, her dad was also an alcoholic.
Mm.
So somehow her and I had magnetically connected to each other somehow.
Like some sort of mild trauma bonding.
But you sort of do wonder about that, because we're still buddies on Facebook to this day, and man, we think alike. Very anti-establishment.
Well, in
Uh,
family system therapy, there's like different types of, and you know, so relationships can always improve.
yeah.
So some things make it harder to improve, like but I think they can always be improved if people take on the work,
Mm.
you know, and you've actually got to take on the work. And even with say family relationships, couple relationships, work relationships, I always think so. Not only me, but the advice from, you know, some of the better family therapists and couple counselors. Like for example, in couples counseling, there's you know, often people are like when they come in, they're talking about their partner, right? Now the thing is their partner isn't there, so you know I'm hearing one part of the story, but if they come in together, it's like you see a different type of thing, and so when I'm counselling someone they're in a couple, I'm considering their couple there too.
Yeah.
Because and so because it's like whatever they do will affect them.
So it's
Whatever
sort of
they
like,
do, whatever they do will affect their kids.
yeah.
You know, so you've got to be careful.
Yeah.
In so you know because in counselling we don't really give advice.
Yes.
Right, we encourage other people to, or we don't give solutions so much. And even though I'll do solution focused therapy, it's about them finding their own solution.
Yes.
By finding out, well, what worked before?
Yeah.
What exceptions are there? When does it work and when doesn't it work?
Yeah.
You know, things like that.
Which is interesting because from my perspective, because most of my clients are a combination of naturopathic kinesiology, like 99% of my clients are a combo.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe 98%, but you know, it's right up there.
Mm-hmm.
And so therefore it doesn't matter what they're saying. If they're in there, like, and I can imagine this is quite different from your perspective. If you've got someone in there who's say just bitching about their partner over and over and over and over again, for a start, it's not opening up their frontal cortex for problem solving. Because they're only focusing on the negative. And the more you speak when you are focusing on the negative, the more it entrains, it makes that fully hardwired into their brain.
Right.
So when people attract other people who are negative about their partner.
But that's what they'll do initially still.
Yes. But no, but what I'm saying
is emotionally.
Yes, but with kinesiology, because I've got my little circuit retaining mode that we use in the kinesiology, when people are bitching about that, that allows me to find the survival, deep survival, hidden deep survival. It allows me to find the time when it started, which is often nothing to do with the relationship they're in. It's often to do with, you know, a brother or a sister or a sibling or a parent or
the background generational or complex trauma situation.
Yes. So it allows you to go back and go, ah.
And so with family therapy, that's like always in the background. So we're always in the background. We've got, so we're seeing, even if I'm seeing an individual, not a couple, not part, that person is embedded in a couple.
Yeah.
Who's embedded in a family system.
Yeah.
Who both sides have got parental family systems.
Yes.
And those generational things come through.
Yes.
And so when you're working with the individual, you're keeping in mind always that they're embedded in these structures.
Yeah.
That they kind of need. Because you know, so.
Well, it's all about safety.
It's about
It's all about safety. We're alive now because of all of the crap that's ever happened to us.
safety, and also we need interconnection with others to survive. Like a big problem in the world now is loneliness,
Oh my goodness.
because people are cutting off instead of resolving.
I've got kids who come in here and they say to their parents about them being on Facebook until they go to bed. So the kids are complaining that the parents are always on the computer and always on their device.
Well, the parents are complaining about the kids, aren't they? Usually, we got to get the kids
So,
off our
no, but it's-
screens. We've got to get the kids off our screens.
Yeah, but it's really interesting that it's flipping. It's flipping.
No, I know it was there all the time.
No, it wasn't. Not the way it is now.
Parents online.
Not the way it is now.
Oh, I've seen it for a long. Well, it's the text getting better. I've seen when you
Yeah,
go down
it's
the.
those dopamine hits, you know, so
When you-
then they can totally ignore their family.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
everybody. It's a lot of it. Well, we've never had anything like that in society before. Although it's not that dissimilar to television, like because before the internet came along,
But at least there were ads.
a lot of people have watched 4 hours of television a night.
Yeah.
Like that's not uncommon, or
Yeah.
6 hours. And so that's mainly what they do. They'd work, come home and watch TV.
Yeah.
And you know,
Well, I
So,
like it. It dumps
TV,
my brain down
internet.
at the end of the day, and I'm fully aware that that's what it does.
yeah, I'm just
It
not
makes me
I'm just a
forget
little
about the day.
I'm just a little bit like I'm pro tech, right? Because the tech's got so much good stuff. And you know, the difference between watching TV and being on your phone, because on your phone, you'll probably be watching Netflix or something anyway, so it's really the same.
Yeah.
And so it's like I don't see it as much different other than it's mobile. That you can do it right in front of the people you're sitting with, or do it in another room over there, or
Yeah.
and it is having an effect on kids. But I think that we, like with my kids, it's like, well, this is the world you're in. You can't do anything without being online doing that. You can't do business without being online. You can't put a form in. You can't do any government things without going online. So the more they spend on it, the better, as far as I'm concerned, because you know, you might say to the kids, don't do this, but I'm glad I've got my 18-year-old kid to work out all the tech stuff that I can't do.
There was a episode of Seinfeld we were watching this morning, and it was sort of a bit of a flashback. So we're into season 9, the last season. They've been pretty much given unlimited funds to do ridiculous things and whatever they wanted to do, so they can just, you know, jump the shark over and over again. Anyway, so it's this episode where he's dating someone a long time ago, and she's talking to him about the World Wide Web. And she's saying, so you can email anyone you want. And he goes, what are you, a genius? She goes, well, and off she walks, and he goes, what's an email?
Oh, that was back then in the early
1993.
93.
Yeah.
The last episodes were coming out then.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they finished in 1999 or 8.
No.
I thought it was finished by 93.
No, maybe anyway, I might have the year wrong, but it was just funny.
They did 250.
what are emails?
They did 250 episodes.
Anyway,
I remember that.
finished on a high. So yeah, so relationships, and look at the relationships in Seinfeld. You know, it's sort of like you can't think of Jerry without thinking of the other three.
Okay.
And, you know, so lives were so intertwined, and people's lives are so intertwined. And this is sort of one of the things about weird stuff, energy, because it's not something I see. But when I was in a course about 25 years ago with one of my trainers, Lynn McCall, and she can see energy.
Okay.
So if she was an accountant before she was a kinesiologist, really funny. So dealt with numbers and logic all day, every day. But something happened to her at some stage where if she focused, she could see people's meridians, or she could see people's chakras. So she was a woo-woo, cool, cheeky babe. And this particular thing happened where these, no, clairsentient maybe. I'm not sure what it is.
Clairsentient, intuitive. There's with all the senses, there's people hear things.
Yeah.
Clairvoyance has a hearing aspect, a visual aspect, a sensing aspect.
Yeah.
They're all different, slightly different names. The intuitive, that's clairsentient.
Yeah. Right. Well, anyway, whatever it is, she could see them. And so this thing happened where we got back from lunch, and a couple of people still weren't back. So I just started asking her some questions, because I was always wanting to pepper anything I thought of, I wanted to know. So she starts writing stuff up on the board, and these two people came in like 20 minutes late. They were angry instantly that we weren't already doing the training. And she could see the energy zipping back and forth with these two angry participants.
Why did they want to miss the first 20 minutes?
I don't know. But they were angry that I was taking some attention away from the class and what we should have been learning.
Oh,
It was very odd. But anyway, later on in the day, you know, so some energy got transferred during that because it really messed with my equilibrium because I wasn't aware exactly what was going on. I just knew that I felt anxious or overwhelmed or stressed or something because of the energy that they brought back in with them. It was like they
Okay.
came in with it.
yeah, well, sometimes that happens, doesn't it?
So imagine in a relationship where this is where I think even if you're only having one person doing counseling or one person doing kinesia or one person having Reiki or one person doing something for themselves, it's going to change the energy of the whole household anyway.
Oh, it can do. And see, there's another thing that when one person changes, the other person might go, "Oh, we liked you the way you were before." So you got to like work out where the changes go so that they go into harmony. Like for example, you know, just outside the counselling frame, like generally when people talk, they'll, you know, they might have a bitch about their partner.
Yeah.
And that's the normal, right? And also people give advice. That's the normal. But often none of that's very helpful because in counselling, you look at it in a different way. Like Esther Perel, she's one of the best counsel couples in the world, and she's online. You can look her up, Esther Perel. Anything you watch her or read her books is worth it. She says, so if somebody asked her a question, what is the best framework for a couple to come into counselling?
Right.
And she said when both people in the couple say, this is how I fuck the relationship up.
Yeah, right.
This is how I mess it up.
I wonder how often that actually happens though.
Well, the other side of it is that often when people come in, because she describes it like that, other counsellors describe it like this too.
Yeah.
Most people come in and they've got a list of what they want the other person to change.
This is the Chicky Babe?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so most people come in, they've got a list what they want the other person to change. Right. But when both people come in without that, you know, there's some of that, but it's like, and the reason that what you want to direct the change more at yourself is because for a start, we can control that.
Yeah.
We can't, changing other people is nearly impossible.
Yeah.
But changing yourself is possible. And so, you know, so what you can do, if you are focusing on yourself and what you can do, at least you're making tangible positive steps. They might not be the biggest in the world, but they're little steps to improve what you can do.
Yeah.
And often that might be enough to get the other person to play too.
Yeah.
Like for example, with complex trauma, so just say you've got a couple they've had terrible backgrounds and generational things. It's like you've got to and just say one person's going through a change, like some of the counselors you'll see online, like Tim Fletcher, he's someone I spent a bit of time. He's got really nice courses, got books, and he's got a nice presence on YouTube and on his website, timfletcher.co. He says that both parts of the couple really need to change at the same time. That's where the best outcome will become, because even if one person has a difficult background, if they've been together for 20 years, it's all overlapped now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like both people really need, because if you're in a fighting pattern, because lots of people getting into fighting pattern, whether it be couples, parent and child, boss and so fighting patterns, you need to like get the heat out of them for a start. Just like because people are triggered.
Yeah.
And once you're triggered, you're in a fighting pattern. It's going to be harder to move. And it's not one person. If two people are fighting and if people are arguing every day and it's going for 10 minutes a day, that's two people at it. If one person stops, it stops.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, I know. And then I know there's more extreme. No, but in general.
I've been in situations where it's just continued at me once I've stopped.
And so have I. But that's because they're hard things to change. They take time.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, counselling will often, you know, be at least 6 sessions, and then even short therapy is considered to be 10. Like I'll use solution focused therapy, and it's called solution brief therapy, and that's like 10 sessions usually.
Yeah.
You know, and so because often people with complex, they might be in counselling for years.
Yeah.
You know, depending on with really some terrible things happen to people, and it's really hard to fix it.
Yeah.
It takes time and different strategies and different.
And like we've chatted about before, people need a different perspective, you know, because and I always joke, and this is just a joke, I always joke that single people are more likely to go crazy than couples, because single people are thinking about stuff all the time and they're not getting an alternate perspective because they're in their own heads for so many hours per day. So once they get a negative thought pattern or a negative belief system going, who's going to tell them they're wrong? You know, at least when you've got a partner or a good relationship with a friend or someone that you can talk stuff through. But so many people get so blocked off. And once again, that's a joke.
It can be
But
so,
it's-
being in a couple, if you can get it better, if you can make it nice, it can be so co-regulating. Like just like
So is there a couple of tips
just like
that
we
you would?
co-regulate with our kids.
Yeah.
It's co-regulating,
Yeah.
right? They're stressed. We're practicing calmness and we're co-regulating to calm them
So
down.
what are a couple of tips you can give people?
To co-regulate.
Yeah.
To make sure that you don't leave out all the affectionate things.
Yeah, right. Nice.
And so one way of co-regulating is that you can, when you hug each other, breathe together. And breathe at the female at the girl's breath rate, because if you breathe at the boy's breath rate, you run out of oxygen because bigger lungs.
Yeah, right.
So co-regulate, you just hug and breathe at the same pace. That's a co-regulating activity. And because it's hugging, you'll produce oxytocin.
Supposedly only after
serotonin.
certain number of seconds, but I don't even believe that. I believe, you know, because they claim medically that you have to hug for like 20 seconds to get those benefits. I don't see that as being truthful.
Well, that's once it's 20 seconds, that's now a practice.
Yeah, right.
It's not just a hug.
20 seconds would feel awkward for most people.
Oh, would it? Okay. So, well, yes, okay, but maybe we want to hug our kids for 20 seconds.
Oh, yeah, kids are different.
No, but
they're willing to hug us.
Oh, okay. No, but
you know, I love a lot of my clients and I hug them as they walk out the door, which is against the rules, you know, obviously, but you know, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
My old counselor used to hug me.
Yeah.
But she died now, so she can't get in trouble.
Ah, that's
she was so lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's one thing.
Co-regulating, so hugging,
and then self-regulating.
Yeah.
Like people don't realize the power of touch, even touching yourself. So so when we're breathing, doing breath work, because breath work's regulating, and it's most simple, breathe out slower than you breathe in.
Yeah.
They say longer, slower. But if you do this, put a couple of hands on yourself, do that and feel it. Put your hands on you.
Doing a Ralph mouth.
It doesn't matter, just touching yourself. The self-regulation. So a lot of people aren't getting regulation of touch, but touch is powerful even when you do it with yourself. And if you want to watch a video on that, there's one YouTube one called Breathing with Bezel. That's Bezel van der Kolk. He wrote The Body Keeps the Score. And he says that, he goes, just touch yourself, because touch, even with our own touch, is surprisingly very regulating. Can you feel that?
Well, yeah, you know.
But isn't that amazing? I didn't know that. And
I'm a touch therapist.
Yeah, I know, but people don't realize they can do it to themselves.
Emotional stress release.
And even that. So being conscious, self-touching can be regulating like someone else. Because a lot of people alone, they don't have somebody else to hug them.
Yeah.
You know, so you can also improve your relationship with yourself, which is really nice, because people who come from traumatic backgrounds, they often don't have a good relationship with themselves. They're filled with shame. Shame's the big driver. You know, we feel so much shame, which feeds our self-talk and our low self-esteem.
No, it's the lowest vibration, shame. So it's only a vibration of 20.
So we can improve and learn to love ourselves by breathing, touching ourselves, co-regulating with ourselves if we can't get it with other people. And sometimes by doing that with yourself, it might pick you up enough to actually get more involved in improving your relationships around you with your kids or your partner or whatever it is where you're having some trouble.
Yeah.
Because it's a really amazing, like with counseling, there's so many strategies to help with that.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome. Any final thoughts?
Well, that if we make the effort, we can really improve our relationships. Like, and all therapists just see it. We see it before our eyes every day, and couples therapists see it, because when you do that, you see it in front of you.
Yeah.
I had this lecturer, he goes, there's these two types of vicarious, which mean, what does vicarious mean? It's catching.
Yeah.
And so he goes, there's two types of vicarious experience and they find it in Buddhism and Hinduism. And one is that it's one's called karuna, which is feeling the suffering of others, and the other one's called mudita, which means feeling the joy in others. And so it's like, and counselors do both of those things, we really empathize with people's suffering and their concern, but it's also celebrating the joys
Right.
with other people. And they're both types of selfless behaviors. So empathetic, selfless behavior and empathetic celebration behaviors.
Yeah. People
Yeah.
forget to celebrate.
Well, we didn't get very well trained, because a lot of therapists, they'll have classes.
Yeah, and
they
I'm
go,
pretty good at it.
Right. We're all getting better at it.
Yeah. Takes you a while, but no,
Yeah, good.
it's
Well, you've done some couples work.
a long time ago. Yeah. But that
Did I-
wasn't part
did
of that.
Oh, because we did couples work and it's really good.
Yeah. No,
Oh, all right.
we've always played hard, worked hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Excellent. I hope you enjoyed that, everyone. Thanks,
Yeah.
David.
Hi, thank you, Madonna. Thank
Cool.
you, everyone. See you then.